Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. In this set of series, we are going to see about the important question bank with answer which will be helpful for your exams for Module 5 21EC53 Computer Networks. Come, let's go into the video. First question, classify the providing services of application layer. So till now we have seen different layers: physical layer, data link layer, network layer, transport layer. Yes. So all these layers had their own services like error control, flow control, congestion control, multiplexing and demultiplexing. So various services was provided by different layers. Now in application layer, the logic is little different. All the communication networks depend upon the internet, right? So we call the internet as a hub where n number of networks are connected to the internet. Here in the application layer, it doesn't provide any services or it doesn't provide any protocol. It only receives the services from the protocols in the transport layer. So it receives the services from TCP and UDP. So this you have to explain in detail. Moving on to the second question, summarize the client server paradigms with neat diagram. So generally you have three paradigms in application layer: client server, peer-to-peer and mixed paradigm. So client to server paradigm, you can see you have n number of LANs connected across the internet with WANs and routers. Here the client to server is when a request or an acknowledgement is sent, it is directly communicating, the client is directly communicating with the server through the routers in the internet. So the communication is from one to one, end to end, client to server. So you have to draw this diagram and explain how the client server paradigm works. Moving on to the next question. 3. Interrupt the peer-to-peer and mixed paradigm with neat diagram. So peer-to-peer is nothing but one communicating with the other with the help of some routers or the internet, or only one to one peer will be communicating with each other. There is no server for it. So here you can see that in peer-to-peer there is no server client process running at all the time. So here when this LAN wants to communicate with this LAN, it directly communicates. So there is no client here. There is no server here. The client itself, let us say these client 1, client 2 and client 3. So all the three clients keep communicating with each other through the internet. So this is called as peer-to-peer communication. Mixed paradigm is nothing but when you have peer-to-peer and client-to-server model in one paradigm, then that is said to be the mixed paradigms. Discuss the brief about non-persistent connection and HTTP. So in HTTP, you have two connection, persistent and non-persistent. This is the non-persistent diagram connected here. Here, what happens is the client is opening for the connection, TCP connection. So it will first send a request for the connection establishment. So in turn, what happens? The server will send the response and it will close the connection. That is, the establishment is done or closing of connection is done. So here the client, after the server sends that, the client will read the data till it goes for the termination of connection. So response, again it will close the connection, again it will send the response, it will close the connection. So for each, if you want to send a file, the same steps has to be followed. If you want to send an image, the same step has to be followed. So with this diagram, you have to explain these 3 points for non-persistent connection in HTTP. Next question, brief explanation about the persistent connection. So as I already told you, persistent and non-persistent connection. So in persistent, what happens is very simple. The server will be leaving a connection open. There you had the client leaving the connection open. Here you have the server leaving the connection open for all the response that is sent by the client. So when the sender, if it doesn't know the length of data or length of the packets that is being sent, in this case the document can be dynamically created. It can be created and sent back and forth. So this is the diagram and explanation has to be given for this diagram. Next question, discuss the format of request message in HTTP. So generally in HTTP, you have request message, response message, and there are many commands that has to be followed to ensure that the data has been sent from one end to the other end. So this is the request message format. You can see request line, header line, blank line and body. So here blank line has CR and IF, that is LF. So CR is nothing but carriage return, LF is nothing but line feed. And you have request line where you have method, URL, version. You will be specifying the URL, which version of protocol it is being used, what method we are following. All these will be explained. So in between you have space. So once you determine that this is the method you are using, persistent method, then you have to leave a space, specify the URL, leave the space, and specify what version of protocol it is being used. So you have to draw this diagram, and then you have some comments for methods also. So those comments also has to be attached along with this format. Yes, hope you have understood the small tips for the examination. Please be stay tuned for the next series of video. Thank you.